Ariel's cast is starting to come together. After the controversial cast of Ariel by Halle Bailey, the evil witch Ursula by Melissa McCarthy, and Ariel's friend Fabius by Jacob Tremblay are also in the cast. Now an actor for the male lead role of Prince Eric seems to have been found, and he is no less than the all-time girl crush and ex-One Direction singer Harry Styles. Styles didn't have much to do with acting up to now, yet he did a great supporting role as a British soldier in Christopher Nolan's Dunkirk. Now Styles will embody the beloved of Ariel, which at least visually is closer to the original than some other Disney cast choices. An exact start date for Ariel the Mermaid has not yet been set, but many journalists expect a release in 2021. The shooting of A Quiet Place 2 has been running for a short time, and that's a bit surprising. After all, it wasn't even clear until recently whether there will be a sequel to the horror movie success. Director John Krasinski will be working behind the camera again, however not in front of the camera. In return, his wife Emily Blunt and the child actors Noah Jupe and Millicent Simmons will be back. According to Syracuse.com, the film is currently being shot at locations in the state of New York. Krasinski has also published a photo of the shooting on Twitter. What will also please fans of the first part is that the plot of the second part will seamlessly follow up the first one so that the story continues. A Quiet Place 2 is expected to be released on 20th of March 2020. For some time now, rumors have been growing of who will be successor of Daniel Craig in the James Bond series. This isn't really surprising, since part of the plot in the new Bond 25 will revolve around the retired James Bond, suggesting that it will be over afterwards. For a few days now, the British actress Lashana Lynch has been regarded as the successor. Should the rumors turn out to be true, she would not only be the first female, but also the first dark-skinned Bond actress. Whether she will appear in the new Bond adventure Bond 25 or not is understandably still an unanswered question. Lynch thus joins the long list of possible successors to Daniel Craig, including Thor actor Chris Hemsworth, Idris Elba, Henry Cavill and even Robb Stark. Bond 25 is expected to be released in the US on April 8, 2020. The Fast and Furious films have always been made for a large audience and are fairly easy to watch. All the more reason for the fuss of the new Hobbs and Shaw some time ago, because the scene in which Luke Hobbs bites his opponent's eye out was too much for the producers. Instead, the first spin-off is aimed at a PEGI-13 age rating in the USA. Not a surprise at first, but director David Leitch also announced that he has cut out the tough scenes for the cinema version, yet wants to save them for home cinema. Jason Statham also talks about a censorship, which has caused some brutal scenes to be cut out. In detail, he even talks about the fact that a lot of things were too X-rated for the movie, which is the highest age rating in the USA that hasn't been given since 1990. However, for fans of the more brutal entertainment, it is likely that these scenes can be seen on Blu-ray at the latest. But before that, there will be a cinema release on August 2nd, which means that we will have to wait a bit longer for the DVD release. 35 years after his first indie action hit Mad Max with Mel Gibson, director George Miller gave his original film a successor in 2015. The project, which cost about $150 million, earned about $380 million worldwide at the box office and is also considered by critics to be a successful action firework. At that time, Miller also announced his own Mad Max trilogy with Tom Hardy, but not much has happened since then. In a recently published interview with IndieWire, Miller explains that they are just about to solve the problems of the failed production. However, it's pretty clear that a new movie is coming and it is looking extremely positive. He hasn't said anything about a more precise date yet, so we'll have to wait a little longer until we hear more about the sequel of Mad Max. The release of It 2 is slowly but surely getting closer. In the course of the last weeks, 2 trailers were released, which the majority of the fans liked very much. Now also 3 pictures have been posted in advance. In a recently published interview with Collider, director Andy Muschietti reveals more details about the second part of the new edition of It. In the second part, the evil clown is supposed to become even more perverted and push the self-proclaimed Losers Club to its limits with his psycho games. It's no surprise that Pennywise is supposed to get even worse in the second part. After all, he had 27 years to prepare for his return. On the other hand, there are also the meanwhile grown-up protagonists Bill, Beverly, Ben, Richie, Eddie and Mike, who are determined to destroy Pennywise's perfidious plan. A nice additional info is that It is actually a she, and like in the books, she might produce offspring. It will be exciting to see if the Losers Club can defeat It or if they will literally lose. It Chapter 2 will be released in cinemas on September 6, 2019. For some time now, cult director Quentin Tarantino has been talking about retiring after 10 film projects. Anyone who believes in a PR gag or something similar is probably wrong, since Tarantino repeated over and over in past interviews that after 10 movies it would definitely be time to end. Only the director's chair of a new Star Trek film doesn't count for him. Apart from that, he really retires after 10 films. Number 9 on his list, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, is about to be released, but we do not know exactly what happens next. A script by Star Trek supposedly already exists, but Tarantino is on the other hand also interested in Kill Bill 3. We have no choice but to wait and see when Tarantino will talk about his new and last movie. Some time ago, Andrew Lincoln's exit from the Walking Dead series caused a stir. They said he wanted to spend more time with his family. But a few days ago it turned out that Lincoln is supposed to return as his serial character Rick Grimes. However, not in the new season, but at least in his own solo movie, to be seen on the Twitter channel of AMC. At Comic-Con though, it was mainly the 10th season and less the film that played a role, which is why a new announcement about the Walking Dead solo movie with Rick Grimes is probably not to be expected at the moment. Soon, Sylvester Stallone will be back on the screen with his cult figure John Rambo in the 5th part of the franchise. In an interview last week, he also talked about another popular film, in which he plays the leading role, Rocky. This comes as a bit of a surprise, as the 73-year-old Stallone has repeatedly announced in the past that he actually wanted to leave the character Rocky Balboa behind him. Now he seems to have changed his mind, as he announced that he is already working on the script of the 7th Rocky movie. Similar to Rocky V, the plot will be a bit different from its predecessors, as in the 7th part Rocky will have to deal with a young illegal immigrant who is stuck in the USA. The bottom line is that this sounds very political, and Stallone himself also thinks that the film will be very up to date. Unfortunately, a release date isn't fixed yet. Four years ago, Vin Diesel announced the planned TV series about Riddick. Since then, nothing has happened. A little surprisingly, Vin Diesel now announced on Instagram that there would be a Riddick 4 Furia. On Instagram, he published a video in which he proudly holds the script for the new Riddick film, completed by David Schwohe in the camera. However, it is still uncertain when the shooting will begin. After last week's announcement of Joe Taslim as Sub-Zero as the first actor for the upcoming Mortal Kombat film, scriptwriter Greg Russo now comments on the way the film was made and the possible age rating for the movie. Via Twitter, he announced that Mortal Kombat will get an R rating and that they want to show the brutal ways of death on the screen for the first time. So in terms of brutality, they don't want to be inferior to the video game template in any way. Furthermore, this is a counter-trend to other cinema adaptations in the past, which turned out to be much more gentle in order to reach a wider audience. In any case, the highest priority should be to become more successful than the two film predecessors of 1995 and 1997, as both flopped and received more than devastating reviews, which was possibly also due to the lower age rating. A R rating will also be in the interest of producer James Wan, who has had some success with R-rated movies like Conjuring and Saw. An exact release date is not yet known, but the release in 2021 is considered to be likely.